Hello. Um, so I want to just do a little update. It's been just over a week since my last video. So I wanted to just do a little update and talk about where I am and where I'm going and all that fun stuff. Um, Update since last week. I have lost about 2 pounds. Um, I don't remember exactly where I was. I think it was like 229 and a half or something like that. And I weighed myself this morning, and as of this morning, I was 227.4. So I've lost about 2 pounds, which is good. And the exciting part about that is that that means that I am exactly where I was when I last left off before I gained a bunch of weight back. So I have effectively gotten back to the point that I had lost before, um, which means that anything from here on out is going to be new losses, which is exciting for me. Um, I was just about to head out to do a little bit of grocery shopping. So I don't know that this will be like a super long video, but I'm not sure. Obviously, I don't exactly plan anything. I just kind of sit down and hit record. Um, yeah, so interesting things, just like kind of learning more, listening to my body and like learning more about myself as I go along here. Um, One thing that I'm really learning is to just really listen to my body. And I know I've mentioned that before about like listening to my body to figure out like, oh, when am I done? Like when am I full? All that kind of stuff. Um, I'm learning more and more that I don't need as much as I thought I needed. And by that I mean like I will get hungry during the day, but I can just like eat a little snack and then I'm fine. I don't need as big of a meals as I used to eat. So like I just had breakfast with someone, and normally when I would go out to breakfast before, I would get like an omelet and hash browns and toast and coffee and and I would eat it all and then I would just be like really, really full. Um, and I got two slices of French toast, which I know like French toast is a lot of calories, but bear with me. Um, it used to be that like I would get like 3 or 4 slices of French toast and I would eat the whole thing. And I would, for whatever reason, be like, oh, I still need to eat more. Whereas I just ate, 2 slices of French toast and I got done and I was like, oh, I'm good. And, I had my cup of coffee and my water and all that. And I finished and I was like, you know what? This is actually pretty good. Like it's actually probably a little more than what I needed. Um, but I mean, like the other day I went to work and I, had like a protein shake for breakfast. And I got kind of hungry part of the way through the day, so I had a snack that was about, I think it was like 90 calories or 100 calories, something like that. Um, and then I was good pretty much for the rest of the day, until I got home to eat dinner. And it was just like it was like I was doing fine. Ooh, I just had a message. So sorry about that. You probably heard the ding, and if not, sorry. um, but yeah, so it, sorry, that completely made me lose my train of thought. Um, yeah, so I don't need as much as I thought I did. Um, and another thing that like really made that super apparent to me, is I had one day where we stopped. We picked up Culver's, while we were on our way, passing through, um, to our next stop at work, and I police sirens. Oh no. Um, I have not had to worry about sirens in a long time. passing by and interrupting videos. I'm so sorry. Um, can you not? I can't tell if it's getting closer or going farther away. All right. I guess we're just gonna have to live with that because it's not going away. Um, so, but we stopped and I got like a meal and I was looking at the calories and there are so many calories in Culver's food. Oh my God. It's almost ridiculous just like how many calories there are in Culver's food. Um, which like is fine if you burn it all off or if it's just like a once in a while treat, but boy howdy. Um, anyway, so I got a meal and I got like grilled chicken and then of course like with a medium meal it comes with fries and a drink and all that kind of stuff. But I was feeling really good about myself because I had like grilled chicken, but I still ate the sandwich and the fries and had my drink. And then I got just like a little thing of custard. Just and by little thing I mean like a little single dish of custard. Um, and I felt so full after that. Like it's crazy to me now to think about because there are so many instances where like I would eat so much and like I especially think about like when I was in high school and I was in wrestling I was burning off a lot of calories so I was eating all the time because I was just hungry all the time but I also think maybe part of it was just this idea of like well you have to eat all the time um like it's your comfort it's your stress relief also you know I talked about before about like how it was like this way that people show that they care about you, whether or not they actually care about you. But it's like that's how you show affection. That's how you show you love somebody is to cook for them or to like get food for them. Um, and like unlearning that behavior is very difficult. I'm not gonna lie. Unlearning that behavior is very hard. But now that I've gotten to the point where like I have gotten used to eating smaller portions. I have gotten used to like eating less in a day. Um, it takes a while for your body to get used to it. I'm not gonna pretend like the last month or so hasn't been a huge learning curve just for my body in general. But I look at how much I used to eat before, and it kind of sickens me. Um, but I'm even looking at like how much money I'm saving on food alone. You know, I ordered out, I don't remember if I talked about this in my last episode or not, but recently I ordered out food, which I almost never do anymore, um, like delivery. And I got um, Qdoba because I really like Qdoba. Um, and of course, like with delivery food, you don't just get like one thing because the delivery charge is so expensive. You're like, well, I'll just get a bunch of things anyway. Um, so I got a bunch of things. I got like a bowl and a quesadilla, and I think I got like chips and dip and all that kind of stuff. Um, and before, my intent would always be to be like, oh, I'll get like 2 or 3 meals worth, and then I'll just, you know, split it all up. I think mail's getting delivered. Every time I sit down to record, it's like that's when everything happens. I could have an entirely quiet day, and then I'll sit down to record something, and then that's when all of the noises are happening in and around my apartment. Um, yeah. So I would like order 2 to 3 meals worth of food, with the full intent of being like, oh yeah, I'll eat some of this now and then I'll save the rest for later. And it used to be that I'd be like, yeah, I'll do that, and then I would just eat all of it. Whether it was like I would just eat it all at once, or I would like just sit down and like graze on it for like an hour or more. And I remember even I would feel so gross afterwards because then comes the guilt. You feel guilty about eating so much food. But then, of course, because you associate comfort from negative emotions with food, you feel guilty for eating, but then you immediately, it's like you're trained to then want to eat more. And it's such a weird, like, paradox almost that you feel bad for eating the amount that you did, but your first instinct then is to turn around and eat more, or to eat something that is, I mean, eat more, but not only eat more, eat something that's very calorie dense, that's full of a lot of calories. So, like, my big go to for comfort food is ice cream and pasta, which, like, pasta isn't necessarily bad and ice cream isn't necessarily bad. You just have to learn to, like, eat it in moderation, just like everything else. But when I would then feel guilty about eating all of this food, my first instinct is to turn around and go buy ice cream or eat ice cream that I already had. And that doesn't make sense. Like, if you just ate a bunch of food and you just like put a whole bunch of calories in your body, your first instinct should be, well, first of all, freaking take a nap. For just take a nap. Um sleep for a second, rest because you don't want to do anything, but then like go exercise. Go do something to try and burn off those calories. If you feel bad about eating a bunch of food and putting a whole bunch of extra calories into your body, then work to burn off those calories. That's the logical thing to do, right? But instead, your first instinct is to turn around and eat ice cream like that. I like to think that I'm a fairly logical individual. And when I sit down and think about that, like that doesn't make sense to me. And it doesn't, it shouldn't. Um, so now that I'm in like a headspace where I'm like, you know what, let's try and break those habits. Um, it's been weird to like sit in my body and get done eating and have eaten a much smaller amount. So now I'm not feeling the guilt about eating a whole bunch of stuff. Because I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I don't eat ice cream or pretend that I don't eat fried food or pretend that I don't eat pasta because I do. I just look at the serving size. I look at, you know, how, like how many calories it is, and I put that up against um, my calorie budget for the day. And so it's like now I can eat those things, but it's all a reasonable amount. And so when I get done, I'm no longer feeling guilty about eating it. So now there's not that impulse to try and eat more of that thing. Um, and it's almost surreal because when you get used to finishing a meal and immediately having that, oh my God, all of these notifications and things, noises going on in the background. But when you immediately associate a meal, like you get used to having a meal, almost like forcing yourself to try and comfort yourself with food. But then immediately after you finish it, you have that guilt association. It's such a surreal feeling to get done eating food. And not only are you just satisfied, like not even full, just regularly satisfied, but you also are no longer feeling the guilt from overeating, it is a weird experience. Um, and honestly, like, I feel like I'm processing the emotions in a very like almost like I don't know what to do with my emotions. I don't know how to feel about what I am and am not feeling. Um, but yeah, it's wild because like I'm not eating as many fried foods anymore. I still eat them from time to time. I'm not gonna pretend like I'm above having some chicken nuggets or whatever, you know. So I'll still eat fried foods, but I don't eat them as much. And I'm noticing that when I do have fried foods, I'm so lethargic afterwards. Like I feel tired afterwards, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's a problem when I'm at work, but like after work, if I want to feel a little lethargic after eating some things, that's not a big deal, you know. But again, everything in moderation. Um, when I do start, when I do have a meal that's like a little bit bigger than what I'm used to, I can feel that like, oh, I feel kind of gross setting in. Um, I'm getting a lot better at telling myself no and telling myself to stop. Because before it would be like I'd go somewhere and I'd just be like, "Ooh, I want," you know, like again, using Culver's as an example. It's like you go into Culver's and you're like, "Ooh, I want a butter burger." And yeah, I want cheese curds instead of fries. And you just don't tell yourself no. You just do it. It's the learning that delayed gratification of like, yeah, would it make me happy right now in this moment to eat cheese curds? Yes. But I know that if I do that, after I'm done eating, I'm going to feel bloated. I'm going to feel overfull. I'm going to feel guilty. And I know that I'm going to feel bad because I'm then not losing the weight that I've been working so hard to lose. So instead, giving yourself that little no, being like, you know what? No, I don't need the cheese curds. We're still at Culver's. You know, I don't need a butter burger and cheese curds and ice cream. You know, I don't need all of that. Maybe um I just get, you know, a grilled chicken sandwich. Um and you know what? Maybe I get a little ice cream and maybe that's going to be good enough because you don't have to kind of going on a tangent, but I feel like there's this idea that when you start a health journey, you're not allowed to enjoy things. You're not allowed to like enjoy food. You have to just like cut everything out and you can only eat like, you know, um plain grilled chicken and rice, or you're not even allowed to eat the rice. You can only eat, you know, uh lettuce and celery and turkey breast. You know, like those are the only three foods you're allowed to eat. And it's like, no, you're still allowed to enjoy things. You just have to learn where the line is. Like it's learning what moderation is and learning your own body and learning what's going to be helpful and what's going to be hurtful. Because I think part of the guilt of breaking extreme diets and all that then sends you into a spiral is it's the same kind of guilt. You never unlearn the behaviors of comforting yourself with food. So then when you get off the diet or you accidentally, you know, eat something bad when you're on these extremist diets, and I'm speaking from experience here or my own theories about myself, is you you break these diets or you break from your new nutrition plan. You know, maybe you uh, just offhand eat something that is bad, or you slip up and you eat too much. That feeling of guilt is so normalized in your mind. Like you're so used to feeling guilty about eating too much and then comforting yourself with more food that you immediately the guilt compounds on this idea of just like, well, I already broke, so what's the point? So that compounds with the guilt of eating too much, with the feeling of I need to comfort myself with these high calorie foods. And it's just like this staircase that you've been taking towards your success immediately turns into a water slide back down to the bottom because I had never dealt with the I never dealt with the issue of the guilt eating and the like soothing yourself with food. So I think I think I've been doing really well. At least I feel like in regards to oh, it's noon. I got really offended at sirens for a moment. It's noon, so sorry about that. It'll go away in a minute. Do you mind? Um, but I feel like I've been doing really well in learning my own body and learning my own limits. And I think for me, a big thing wasn't so much the like, I'm not allowed to eat any of these bad foods anymore. It was setting a budget because for whatever reason, I'm usually really good with budgets. So when I think about my calorie intake in the form of a budget, it's much easier for me to go, oh, I have a budget. Rude. Um, it's much easier for me to go, oh, I have a budget. As long as I stay within this budget, whatever I eat is fine. It's like when you make a budget for your home. Like, obviously, you have to, pay your bills, like your rent, your electric, all that fun stuff. But then turning around and saying, you know what? I've got $100. It doesn't matter what I spend this $100 on, as long as I don't, that as long as I stay within $100. Oh my God! Stop. We get it. Tornadoes. We need to be aware. Um, yeah. So it's just that whole learning curve of learning yourself. Thank you. Learning yourself, learning what's going to work for you, and then just implementing it, having the self discipline. Because that's the other huge part about this is like, you can make all the plans in the world. You can go, like, oh, yeah, I'm going to hit the gym, like every day. Or even if you put something small, just like once a week, I want to go down to the gym. Or like, I'm just going to start going on a walk, 2 times a week. I'm going to try and eat better. Like, you can make all the plans in the world, but if you don't have the self discipline to actually implement it, that's that's the thing that's going to get you. And so practicing that self discipline. And you know what? I'm not perfect. I'm not going to pretend that I am, but I am getting better, and I am learning how to discipline myself, and I am learning how to say no to the things that are ultimately going to hurt me down the road. It's that delayed gratification of saying no to the small thing now because I know later it's going to make me more happy. Momentary happiness versus the long term happiness. Um, or I should say, like momentary satisfaction versus long term satisfaction and all that. So I don't know. That's just where I'm at. That's what I'm thinking. That's kind of a little update. Um, I'm at 227.4 as of this morning. So that's really exciting. And hopefully next week I'll have lost at least another 2 pounds, but we'll see. Um, just keep moving forward, And anything from here on out is going to be new losses since starting the YouTube channel and my Instagram. So I look forward to all of that. All right. Well, I will see y'all again whenever the next one is. Um, take care of yourselves. Drink water or whatever, hydrate or dihydrate, whatever the saying is. I never know how to end videos. Yeah, so take care of yourselves. Love you. Bye bye.